Hello everyone, welcome back, and today on the 80% tutorial for Specter of Torment, featuring the Skeletal Sentry, we're going to be covering the Lost City. Now, the Lost City is a fairly peaceful stage. It's not terribly difficult. There's some precise things you can do, but last time we were talking about how we're going to be managing 3 or 4 darkness throughout the stage. So there's a couple of alternate things that you can do to conserve darkness if you happen to not have enough money after Iron Whale. That said, if you're that desperate to have the 4th darkness for this stage, you can always go upstairs to the juice bar, and I'll explain where those guys are and why they can give you some extra money. We're already past quite a number of screens. They're fairly easy, nothing too complicated. Some new stuff has been added, and we will be taking some extra measures to avoid taking damage, conserving some darkness. But the first big trick coming up is familiar to most fans of Shovel Knight. This is Beetle Skip, and you can do this low percent as well. It's just got a slightly different setup, but yeah, Steve once again helps us out here, crossing the gap. A lot of these rooms have a very familiar layout to the Shovel and Plague version, but they are approached in different ways, and making use of rail mail certainly helps us to overcome a lot of these obstacles. Now, it is possible to jump that entire gap without actually attacking that lava fish, but slowing down ever so briefly to destroy it makes sure that you get a little bit of darkness from killing it if you happen to be low. Otherwise, you can attempt to jump the gap. And in that room, that was a very difficult trick to grab the skull that was first used to help out the 100% route, but it still is faster overall, so it's anything that crosses from one route into the next will usually help speed up the overall game. Now, it's easy to mess up this jump, so long as you have a little bit more darkness that you can use Judgment Rush, you can actually reset your climbing and scale the wall. Approaching the second beetle, and this checkpoint you can grab without losing much time, but it is faster to avoid it. If you're not comfortable with the beetle skip that you choose to do, then feel free to grab it or practice this area. The more optimal version of the second beetle skip is fairly precise and easy to get yourself killed with. Again, this room has an alternate strategy, and we'll go over that one. You don't need to use the Skeletal, but it does make it a lot easier and safer. And lastly, we have a line of dirt blocks. Now, if you have your slashes well spaced, you can actually make it through that entire room without stopping once, but more than likely you're going to bonk. Now, Mole Knight will once again not be much of a challenge thanks to the Skeletal Sentry, but you want to make sure that you get as much damage in on him as you can, just to speed up the fight that much more. With only the Skeletal Sentry, and it's so easy to throw, we might as well attempt to do a low percent trick that involves hitting enemies twice as they pass by. Now, this is where I mentioned you could pick up some extra money if you were short after Iron Whale. This Bone Clang right here will always offer you 600 gold. Now, more of these appear every time you beat specific night stage, but that one is there from the moment you beat the plains. Once again from the beginning of the stage. Now, this first room has a mildly annoying trick. You see that green block right there? Well, as we mash to start our skating, this jump is fairly precise, but you want to make sure you land on the right side of that cube so that when you bounce off of it, you bonk your head into the ceiling. Too early and you'll actually climb up on that wall. Too late and you'll actually miss the block entirely. But if you happen to miss that block entirely, then just keep holding down forward and you'll actually make it into the next room pretty easily. Now, as you've entered this room, you should be jumping over the first 2 slimes with a slight dash attack backwards on the second one. Skate forward after you make it over the green block and do a downward dash attack on the Beto. You want to climb up these walls with a couple of quick hops, and then you want to jump clear over this gap, and you want to make sure that when you land in front of the slime, you start slashing immediately. Now, your first slash will hit the slime and the slime block, and the second one will attack the slime so that you can continue to pass through it without being damaged. The slime blocks will attempt to push you back really far, but because you're constantly grinding, you'll be fighting that back and then skating onwards. Now, when you reach the final green block, you're actually going to do a quick jump into a Judgment Rush, and this way you'll not only attack the Red Duck Knight, but you'll destroy the dirt block that's behind it, so that you can simply climb the wall and hop over the ledge. Now, if you wanted to cut this Judgment Rush, you could simply bounce off the green block and then skate over where the Duck Knight is, but there's no sense in holding on to your mana at the start of the stage. You need to spend it before you want to start conserving it. That said, now that we've used one, in this room we'll be using a Judgment Rush, and you optionally can throw a Skeletal Sentry here and detonate it to destroy the green slime blocks. Now, there is an alternate strat that is just as fast, but it's more difficult in terms of movement, whereas Skeletal will just test your ability to mash. Just as before when we enter the room, on the right side you're going to see me omit the use of the Skeletal Sentry. It starts exactly the same, mash Judgment Rush as you enter the room, but instead of throwing the Skeletal Sentry, you're going to do a cut to break those 2 bricks, turn around, break the 2 bricks behind you, and that'll propel you forward. You'll walk onto the green slime block below you, and that'll bounce you straight back up. So it's slightly slower and at the same time slightly trickier, but you do save on that darkness. Now keep in mind that you'll be needing your darkness for Beetle 1, but first we have this room to deal with. Just walk forward and just do slashes as you walk downwards. You're literally just holding forward and cutting as you drop down each block. And this was a neat little trick found by JC and Speedfrog. Managing to kill that fire slime will pick up a little bit of darkness, and then there was a small darkness pickup that was hidden away in one of those blocks. Now this room has a very difficult set of tricks. You're going to want to fall down in the middle of that transition so that when you land, you are slightly to the right of that first fire slime. And that means that when you start grinding with a delayed grind, you'll attack the first fire slime and kill it before you get to the second one. After killing the second one, you'll either fall off or you'll immediately be able to press jump and Judgment Rush, and this will target the only other living thing in this room, which is the slime on the bottom. After you Judgment Rush this slime, you'll be able to jump over the small gap, and you want to wait just a split second because one of the lava drops will start to fall down at this moment. So if you did everything perfectly, you know that you'll barely have been able to have jumped over it. It's very easy to only get a single hit on those first 2 fire slimes, especially if you are trying to grind past them. So if you happen to not kill either one of them, then after you pass through the 2 fire slimes, you're going to want to use Judgment Rush very close to the lava on the floor, very close to the green block. That way you will be closer to the green slime that is on the lower layer. Now in this room it's fairly simple. Just land and start grinding. You'll actually jump straight over those 2 gaps. Make sure you cut the slime block and then continue to grind. You'll jump over that one as well. And when you reach the stone bricks, as you jump, make sure that you either tap right or do not hold forward, so that when you jump you are breaking 2 at a time and not climbing the wall. Jump 1 more time and you'll fall straight downwards. And if you happen to be near the wall or you only broke 1 brick, just make sure you cut as you approach the wall so you don't stick to it. Now approaching Beetle Skip. This trick is not terribly difficult, just requires some precise timing. And for the first jump, you're going to want to wait for the beetle to get close to the slime block. Do not grind and then jump to that slime block, because if you do, your pushback will be greatly reduced by the fact that you were grinding and you'll fall into the lava. So jump, hit the slime block, you'll get pushed back slightly, grind, jump forward, and then use a Judgment Rush on the beetle that appears. And then rather than mash your next Judgment Rush, just wait a slight bit more time until the Specter basically touches that wall there, so that when you use your second Judgment Rush, it targets the Steve holder, and that means you'll destroy him in 1 hit. You can quickly turn around then, you'll still be invincible from using Judgment Rush, jump upwards, get 1 dash attack upwards on the Steve, and then another one on the lantern, and you'll have cleared the gap. For this reason, you need to make absolutely sure that you have enough mana to do 2 Judgment Rushes after you enter this room. Now this jump can be fairly precise. You just want to make sure you land on that single dirt block and then continue to grind forward. Jump past the green lanterns. Now green lanterns are slime coated lanterns, and you can actually use them to your advantage by jumping past them and doing a backwards dash attack like in this room, or in this case you're skating straight off that ledge, and then when you're past it you do a backwards dash attack. That will allow you to use them to propel you forward rather than constantly being bounced backwards like the game is sort of intending for it to happen to you. Now in this room you're going to be doing a similar trick with the green lantern, but as you jump off this ledge, make sure you get a fairly late jump. You don't want to ride off into your death, but you want to get as late of a jump as possible so that when you bounce off of it, you are high enough to do a down dash attack on the Beetle and attack the green slime block with your dash attack. This is important because as soon as you enter the room, these green lanterns are already moving, and if you manage to keep the pace up, then you'll be able to catch this first green lantern before it gets away from you. With a firm grind and a long jump, you'll be able to make it past it, which will allow you to do some backwards dash attacks on it. You don't want to spam the hell out of it because you can, but each successful bounce will go not nearly as far if you do them too quickly. Now, you want to make sure that as you cross this gap, you either get behind the lava fish and then do an up dash attack off of it, or jump clear over it. And you just want to make sure you have enough darkness so that you can do Judgment Rush on this red Duck Knight and the slime. Although it is possible to make it past both of these guys without using Judgment Rush, it is much easier and faster to do so. Just keep in mind that it will be a lot more troublesome if you ran out of darkness at this point. Now as you enter this checkpoint room, you want to wait until you touch the checkpoint before you use Judgment Rush. And that's so that as you attack the first Steve holder, the second one will actually be bouncing away and you won't kill it in the same swipe, which means you'll be able to attack its vulnerable backside with a down dash attack, which will also break through the explosive bricks. Now in this room, This is the hundo trick that I mentioned earlier, although we normally used to go over the top side, and you still can if you're not comfortable with this trick, but as you get to the bottom, you can grind, do a jump, wait until you're a little higher on that wall, start climbing it, just to be safe, and then cut to drop off of it. As you are cutting, you want to be holding down and forward. You only want to do one cut. Too many cuts and you will fall straight through. Do another cut as you approach the second set of explosive bricks, and do one more cut as you approach the green slime block. Continue to hold down forward until you've broken that green slime block, but then let go of down forward so you don't start to climb that wall in front of you. As you bounce upwards, just prepare to do an attack on the way down. You will hit Steve and pass straight through him without taking damage, without being delayed or doing any type of silly shenanigans. Now in this room, if you have enough darkness, which again, this is why you should be sort of conserving your darkness throughout the stage, you'll be able to use Judgment Rush on the far slime, and as you do, you'll pass through the first one and destroy the second one so you can continue to grind forward. Once you get past him, turn around and start destroying those explosive bricks, continue to skate forward, and then do 2 attacks, one to release the Steve, and then another one to attack him as you pass clean through him. Now this jump is precise. If you're not comfortable with it, you can just tap right before you jump, but yes, jump when you are really close to the wall. Too soon and you'll bonk your head, and then cut as you go forward so that you can just leave the room very quickly. Super scary jump there, but with enough practice you can get the timing of it down. Now in this room you're going to be holding right and down, and that means you're going to be grinding forward. This makes this a little precise, but it is the fastest way of getting through. Just do a cut as you pass through the dropping slime ball, and then do a late jump so you can get across that gap. Now, so long as you jumped at all and managed to hit that slime, you won't die even if you don't make that jump, but you'd rather not be wasting any more time. So climb up the green slime wall and then use Judgment Rush as soon as you can see those fire slimes. You'll just barely be able to pick up that red skull if you did it early enough. Nice additional hundo trick. Make sure that you hit that slime as quickly as possible, and then you want to jump as high as you can on this ledge so that when you turn back around you barely have any climbing to do whatsoever on this wall. And then you want to take a look at your darkness. If you don't have enough darkness to use a Judgment Rush in case of emergency, I would recommend doing this the intended way. Otherwise, just try to jump clear over this gap. If you fail, if you bonk for whatever reason, you can start climbing the wall and use Judgment Rush to save yourself. Otherwise, drop down, hit that slime droplet, and then use Judgment Rush to climb the slime wall instead. And this is what that would look like if I had failed that first jump there. Just a quick Judgment Rush and you'll be just fine. Proper darkness management will allow you to do both tricks just in case. Now this room with the red Duck Knight is fairly annoying. Just make sure you tap left before you jump so that you don't fly into him, and then you can continue to skate along. You want to jump past the fire lantern and then turn around and get a backwards dash attack off of it. And this is the fast way of getting through this checkpoint room. Just jump to the dirt blocks, wait just a moment for the Steve to be a little bit lower, make sure you don't bonk your head into the ceiling, and get 2 dash attacks into the next room. Alternatively, when you enter this room, you can grab the checkpoint, turn around, and then you can either do a dash attack off that Steve, or if you miss that one, then you can do a dash attack off the Steve holder. And there you can see both dash attack reticles showing up, so it's a little bit tight on the timing, but it is possible. Now, Beetle 2 has 2 ways of doing it. The first way involves just doing a Judgment Rush on the Steve holder that's passing by, and then you can land on those blocks in front of the fire slime. Just hack them away, clear some blocks, and then start another grind. You can jump over this gap. Not difficult. This is the standard way of doing this trick, but Patois found another way of doing this trick. So Patois' way is much faster, but it's also a hell of a lot scarier because of how precise it is. After you do a slightly late Judgment Rush on that first Steve holder, then you'll actually land on the first dirt block, immediately jump and do a cut so that you hit the fire slime and pass through it and destroy the dirt blocks behind it. This is the fastest way of getting through, and dang, is it precise, so make sure you practice it if you're really going to go for it. Afterwards, just do a Judgment Rush on the Ogre, turn around, and you can do a ground attack and then jump and dash attack off of him. In the following room, you're going to use Skeletal Sentry here, so just turn around, face backwards, that way when you throw him, he'll land right around between the 2 sets of green blocks. After you threw him, turn around, jump, and detonate him. He should destroy the 2 sets of green blocks, then turn back around and skate through. No problem. Now if you're feeling really gutsy, there's another way you can do this room that doesn't involve the Skeletal Sentry at all. As you enter, instead you're going to do a jump, small leap of faith here, turn around, break the green slime blocks, and as you do, immediately turn around and mash your dash attack upwards to save yourself. Then turn back around and then go back on your merry way. This is slightly faster, but as you can see, if you mess this up, you'll fall down to your death very quickly. And then we're entering the Steve prison. There's quite a lot of them, so be careful. You want to slash as you enter the room to break the first 2 green bricks, and then do a down dash attack to get past the first Steve. That first Steve will then go forward enough so that you can do 2 dash attacks off of him. If you don't get the second one, no big deal, but you will destroy the green brick afterwards. turn back around, bounce off of that first slime block there. The other Steve shouldn't be anywhere near you, and then you'll be able to leave this room nice and quickly. Now, money is not an issue for this stage. You'll have plenty of money by the time you get to the next darkness purchase if you really want to pick up that 5th one. And again, as you try and cut through all these dirt bricks, inevitably you will probably get bonked into one of them and then just have to start up your grind again. Now for Mole Knight, you want to start off the fight by throwing a Skeletal Sentry and then try and get double taps on him. And what I mean by double taps is that you're going to use a slash attack before he's in position to be dash attacked. He will run into your attack because of how many active frames it has, and then you will actually do a dash attack immediately afterwards. So this will do a full heart of damage to him per pass. Coupled with the Skeletal Sentry's shots chasing him down, you should do quite a bit of damage to him. Now as Mole Knight makes his last pass by, you're going to want to hold your ground, try and get 2 grounded attacks on him. One as he's in front of you, and then one as you turn around at him as he leaves you. Once Mole Knight is past you, jump and detonate your Skeletal Sentry, turn around and watch out for that spark, and then try and throw another Skeletal Sentry out if you can. You can see that Mole Knight barely has any health left, so as you throw out this Skeletal Sentry, get in position and start attacking him. When Mole Knight is in the corner, if you do any damage at all to him, he'll try and hide underground immediately. But coupled with the damage of the Skeletal Sentry firing at him and your standard ground slashes, you'll actually be able to defeat Mole Knight before he does anything else. Here's the fight once again, and this is a slightly cleaner performance. He runs away, toss Sentry, double tap, attack, attack, detonate, throw another one, and then just spam your attacks on him, and he should die before he even touches the ground again. Lost City does require a bit of practice, but it's not a terribly difficult IL. You should have around 3k gold, and with 3 more night stages done, we'll be entering the second memory, the Memory of Conflict. Until next time, thanks for watching. Stay spooky.